Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Breaking news on this Friday morning. Former FBI Director James Comey was indicted by a grand jury on 2 counts: alleged false statements within jurisdiction of the legislative branch and obstruction of congressional proceedings. We have the details for you in today's show. If you're a fan of TikTok, looks like the video platform will be around for a while longer in the U.S. as President Trump signed an executive order approving the sale to U.S. investors in a deal valued in the billions of dollars. We continue to hear inspiring stories of how Charlie Kirk continues to have an impact on the lives of many people across the country. One well-known actor says his memorial service has helped him forgive a 60-year-old grievance. This is a story of how forgiveness can be freeing for the soul. And Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott joins us today to talk about energy security in South Carolina and the latest polling results in the South Carolina governor's race.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
So, breaking news, James Comey, the disgraced former FBI director, was indicted last night by a federal grand jury on 2 felony counts: lying to Congress and obstructing a congressional investigation. Now, this is the man who oversaw the infamous Trump-Russia probe. What we all came to know as the Crossfire Hurricane witch hunt now finds himself on the receiving end of justice. Couldn't have come at a better time and to a better person. Here's what the indictment says. Comey made false statements when he denied authorizing FBI officials to act as anonymous sources when, in fact, prosecutors say he did. And he's accused of obstructing Congress by interfering with their investigation into leaks of sensitive information. So let's put this in plain English. He misled lawmakers and the American people and then tried to cover his tracks, like they often do. Attorney General Pam Bondi was very blunt. She said no one is above the law. She said that this DOJ will hold accountable anyone who abuses power and misleads the American people. And FBI Director Kash Patel, the man who now is trying to rebuild that broken agency, rebuild the trust of the American people in the FBI, went even further. He said this indictment is another step in restoring trust and ripping out the rot left behind by corrupt leadership from the Biden administration. His words, nowhere was this politicalization more blatant than during the Russiagate hoax. Now remember, it was James Comey's FBI that launched the Trump-Russia investigation back in 2016. An investigation that dragged on for years. It cost you and me millions and millions of dollars and hung over President Trump's first term like a cloud, a dark cloud. Robert Mueller eventually concluded there was no evidence of collusion, none. Then came John Durham's probe, which confirmed what so many of us suspected. The FBI ignored warning signs, failed to act on intelligence, and in some cases was manipulated by the Clinton campaign's dirty tricks. Durham's words were damning. He called it a clear failure and said the FBI had been targeted for political purposes. Now, and you better believe President Trump had something to say. Like always, on True Social, He called Comey one of the worst human beings this country has ever been exposed to and said this indictment is just the beginning of holding him accountable. His words, quote, "He's been so bad for our country for so long and is now at the beginning of being held responsible for his crimes. Make America great again." Let's not miss the big picture here, though. And there is a big picture. This isn't just totally about James Comey. This is about whether powerful bureaucrats, unelectable, unaccountable, can weaponize federal law enforcement against political opponents and get away with it. James Comey thought he could do that. James Comey and his cronies during the Biden administration, and then, look, let's even go back to Barack Obama and the Clintons. I mean, they all thought that they could use these federal agencies to investigate their political enemies. Donald Trump. James Comey thought he was the law. Not that he was above the law. He thought he was the final authority. He is one of the most arrogant people that I have ever seen in a position like that. Just had that smirk on his face, like, I'll get you one way or the other. No way you can touch me. Well, guess what? Mr. Comey is about to really see what justice is all about. He's about to be given a lesson in true justice. And like I said, couldn't have come at a better time to a better person. What do you hope the outcome is here? What is the appropriate punishment for something like this? And again, it is just so absurd. The fact that that Russiagate was hovering over us for years. And what just really makes me angry is to think about the waste of the millions and millions of dollars. We should make James Comey pay back every single penny of the money that was squandered because of his investigation, because he knew it wasn't true. He knew there was nothing there. He was grandstanding the whole time, and he had the ability to do that. He had the power to do that. When you put someone like James Comey in a position of power and trust like he was, they're going to abuse it every time. I mean, for years, conservatives have warned about a two-tiered justice system. The indictment last night is proof that maybe the tide is finally turning. I hope. I pray. Again, that an unelected, unaccountable person in the federal government and the law enforcement, the Department of Justice, the very agency who is charged to uphold the law, to enforce the law, that they can weaponize the federal law enforcement against political opponents. We saw this back in the Nixon administration. Richard Nixon was famous for using the Department of Justice, the IRS, and other federal agencies to spy on his political enemies. It was wrong then. Even though he is a Republican, it's wrong now. And after Watergate, and after all that the country went through during that period of time, I would have thought that there would have been safeguards put into place to where it would never happen again. But it did. It did. And the Clintons, the Obamas, and Joe Biden made Richard Nixon look like a kindergarten student who was trying to steal the election for a student body president of his kindergarten class. James Comey may have thought that he was untouchable. I mean, after all, he ran the FBI, the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world. But as Pam Bondi said, no one is above the law, and he's learning that the hard way. No presidents are above the law. Richard Nixon proved that. No senators, not even the FBI director, is above the law. This case will play out in the Eastern District of Virginia, but the court of public opinion already knows the truth. Russiagate was a hoax, and the man who presided over it is now under indictment. They need to build a special wing of a federal prison just for him. Put him in there, lock him up, give him a little food every now and then, but forget about him. I mean, what do you think, folks? Is this real justice finally being served? Or is this just scratching the surface? Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line. Always use promo code Joey when you go to mypillow.com and take advantage of some of the great deals that Mike Lindell has. Call 800-893-4059, have your credit card ready, or go to mypillow.com. They have a new shipment of the towels, the towel set, 6-piece towel set, normally $69.98. When you use promo code Joey, you're going to get them for $39.98. You know how much I love the MyPillow products. I often tell you that these towels, they're the best towels you'll ever own. I guarantee it. Mike Lindell guarantees it as well. They're soft, they're absorbent, and I promise you, once you use the MyPillow towels, you'll never buy another towel anywhere else. They're that good. So again, go to mypillow.com or call 800-893-4059. Always use promo code Joey and get the very best price that you can possibly get. While you're there, look at some of the other great deals too. Just click on the radio specials, radio and podcast specials, and you'll see the robes, the bathrobes. They're very comfortable. They're just as good as well. The My Slippers, are amazing. Do like my buddy Dennis down in Georgia does, and wear them deer hunting. He wears his all over the place. The sheets, the Giza Dream Sheets, normally $109.98, $69.98 with promo code Joey. Go to mypillow.com, get the best deals on everything that you can imagine. All you have to do is throw my name around. Use promo code Joey. Let's be honest, those summer vacations and backyard barbecues added some extra pounds, right? But instead of feeling guilty or falling further behind, it's time to reset, drop the weight, and get back in control. The solution isn't a shot. Real lasting weight loss starts with your mind, not your mouth. At PhD Weight Loss, Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team help you uncover the real reasons behind your weight gain so that you can reprogram the way you think about food forever. PhD clients lose up to a third of their body weight without ever taking a drug. I know because I lost 33 pounds with PhD Weight Loss. Through real food, behavioral coaching, and proven science, your body can become a natural fat-burning machine. Why risk spending thousands on shots that strip away muscle, come with dangerous side effects, and leave most people regaining 60% of the weight within a year? With PhD, you'll activate your body's natural appetite control, burn fat safely, and stay in control. Even if you're already on Ozempic, PhD can help you transition off while still losing weight. Take the first step today. Call 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. You know, I love getting your text messages, your emails, joey@joeyhudson.com, and your messages on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Just leave me a message, and I listen to all of them. I read all the texts. I read all the emails. So keep them coming. I love to hear what's on your mind. Jennifer says, hey, Joey, in response to your excellent deep dive today, this was yesterday on the 25th, into helping us understand the whirlwind of good and evil in America, I wrote fast and furiously a response that turned into the length of a magazine article. Thank you, Jennifer. So I'll let that rest and instead answer your final question. In the great Cracker Barrel debate, no, I have not been back. I, like you, haven't done it deliberately necessarily. The car just never has found its way into a Cracker Barrel parking lot since Uncle Herschel fell off the billboard. I became disgusted, maybe before you did, because they also took my favorite item off the menu, the lima beans. Why would you take lima beans off of a Cracker Barrel menu? No omelets, no lima beans. But look, the omelets did me in, Jennifer. She says, some other items have gone missing too, and they've replaced them with special versions of alcohol. Have you ever seen anybody in a Cracker Barrel having a beer with their pinto beans, collard greens, and fried chicken and cornbread? I never have either. Thank you. I had several of you talking about Cracker Barrel. Tony says, Joey, in regards to Cracker Barrel, I don't go to Cracker Barrel because they're not doing the old traditional ways of cooking it home style. It's now processed and packaged food. Another texter says, Joey, one of the massive things that Cracker Barrel has to its detriment is their food quality. Now it's virtually inedible in the lunch and dinner menu. So many of you not big fans of Cracker Barrel. Thank you for those messages. Keep them coming. I was at Oconee County Republican Men's Club last night. There was a young man there. His name was Jacob, from Turning Point USA Clemson, who gave an update on what their chapter over at Clemson is doing in wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And, you know, it was encouraging to hear this young man vow to keep the faith, to keep seeking the truth, to keep Charlie's legacy alive. And it's just a blessing to continue to hear the impact that Charlie Kirk is having on people literally around the world. His death has people going back to church. We've seen a real uptick in church attendance the last few weeks. People are reevaluating their relationship with Jesus Christ. And just people are just looking at things a lot differently. And I want to talk about something that also, a story that I heard also related to Charlie Kirk's memorial service. It was inspiring. It was amazing to see when Charlie's pastor asked people to dedicate their life to Christ and to stand up, to see all those people stand up. And I've talked to some people who were in the stadium that day who said it was just amazing to see the people standing up around them. In the middle of all the grief, all the politics, and all the noise surrounding the assassination of Charlie, there came a moment that reminded us what faith in action really looks like. It happened at the memorial service when his sweet wife, Erica, stood before millions of people, a couple 100,000 in Arizona, millions watching the stream all around the world. Here was a young widow, a young mom left to raise their 2 children alone. And she did something almost impossible. She looked out at the crowd, and she said about the man accused of murdering her husband, "That young man, I forgive him." And I've thought about that a lot. She didn't say it lightly. She didn't say it with anger. She said it with the strength that only can come from faith, her faith in God. Erica told the crowd, "Our Savior said, 'Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.' I forgive him because it's what Christ did, and it's what Charlie would do." And yes, he would. Friends, that is the gospel lived out loud. And it's just really, it affected me that day watching her. And I've watched video clips of it since, over and over. I mean, that is the hardest commandment that we're ever given, to forgive those who hurt us the most. It's hard for me to do sometimes. Now, here's the part that really hit me. Erica's words didn't just move those in the stadium. They reached Hollywood. The story is that actor Tim Allen, who you know from Home Improvement, Last Man Standing, of course, the voice of Buzz Lightyear, said on X yesterday that Erica's speech deeply affected him. Allen admitted that he's carried a burden for more than 60 years. When he was just 11 years old, his father was killed by a drunk driver. And all these decades later, Tim Allen said he's never been able to fully forgive the man who took his dad's life. But after hearing Erica Kirk's words of forgiveness, he finally wrote, "I forgive the man who killed my father." Wow, that's powerful, folks. After 60 years, I forgive the man. And that's the ripple effect of God's grace. Think about it. 60 years of carrying that burden around, that hatred, that dark stain on your heart. Now, let's pause here for a minute and say something important. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing evil. Doesn't mean setting aside justice. The young man who assassinated Charlie Kirk is going to face trial. Justice must be done. But forgiveness is something different. Forgiveness frees you. It's about releasing that poison of hate before it literally eats you alive. And that's exactly what Erica modeled. She's teaching her kids. She's teaching Charlie's movement, those young kids in Turning Point USA. She's teaching all of us that forgiveness is strength. Forgiveness is freeing. You know, I got to tell you, it made me stop and ask myself, am I holding some bitterness towards someone? Who have I not forgiven? Maybe you've been wronged by a family member or hurt by someone at work, or maybe you've carried anger for years over something that you just can't let go. Well, Erica Kirk just showed us how it's done. And Tim Allen's response shows just how powerful that witness can be. If he can forgive the man who killed his dad 60 years ago, maybe there's somebody I need to think about forgiving. Maybe there's someone that you need to take a step back and reconsider as well. Because Jesus told us to love our enemies, to pray for those who persecute us. That's one of the hardest commandments in the Scripture. I have to admit that. But that's exactly what Erica Kirk lived out on that stage. And it wasn't just for the man accused of killing her husband. It was for all of us, so that we could see what it looks like to put faith in action. Charlie Kirk's entire ministry was about equipping young people with courage, conviction, and truth. He loved the debate. He loved sitting at those college tables saying, "Prove me wrong." He believed in conversation, even with people who hated him, especially people who hated him. And now his wife is carrying that same spirit forward by showing us that even in death, Charlie's message is louder than ever. I mean, that is just so comforting to me. Tim Allen said it best, though. He said he struggled for 60 years to forgive, but Erica's words gave him the strength. Folks, that's legacy. That's Charlie Kirk's legacy. That's impact. That's how one act of grace can change hearts far beyond the place that it was spoken in that stadium of almost 80, 90,000 people. So let me ask you this, and let's think about this as we head into the weekend. Who do we need to forgive? Who do you need to forgive? I'm thinking about who do I need to forgive. Who's that person that you've been holding on to that bitterness against you? Love to hear from you. Text me. Call me on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY. Email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. I want to hear your thoughts, because I think Erica's message is for all of us, not just for her family. And thank goodness that Tim Allen heard it, because obviously it has affected his life in a very big way. Will it affect yours as well? So the story that broke yesterday on TikTok really hits right at the crossroads of national security, technology, and free speech. This wildly popular app with 170 million American users is officially changing hands. It's been in negotiations for, I don't know, a year or more now, right? President Trump yesterday announced that a group of U.S. investors will take control of TikTok after months of high-stake negotiations. He signed an executive order certifying that the deal complies with the law Congress passed back in 2024 that required TikTok's Chinese parent company, ByteDance, to divest the platform or face a total U.S. ban. And you'll recall, TikTok went dark for a short period of time some months ago. So let's be clear about what this means. For months, national security experts have warned that TikTok could be used by the Chinese Communist Party to collect data on Americans, to manipulate what people see and hear, and to influence our culture and politics. TikTok's executives denied it, of course, but the concerns were bipartisan. This wasn't a Republican issue. It wasn't a Democrat issue. Both Democrats and Republicans acknowledged the risk. So this deal, valued at $14 billion, gives American investors 80% control of the platform, with ByteDance holding a minority interest of 20%. And here's what you need to understand. The U.S. group won't just hold the stock. They'll control TikTok's algorithm, the engine that decides what videos you see if you're on the platform. They'll also control content moderation. Now, the list of American investors wasn't fully released, but President Trump confirmed some big names. Oracle, led by Larry Ellison, computer entrepreneur Michael Dell, Dell Computers, media mogul Rupert Murdoch. So you're talking about some heavy hitters on the American side. Vice President J.D. Vance said it plainly. We wanted to keep TikTok operating, but we also wanted to protect Americans' data. And this deal, he says, checks both of those boxes. So think about it. TikTok has 170 million American users. That's half the country. mostly young people, especially those who spend hours a day scrolling through the app. You can't just shut it down overnight without major blowback. And that's what happened back earlier in the year when enforcement of the law briefly went into effect. TikTok went dark for about 24 hours before President Trump suspended the ban on his first day in office. He extended that pause a few times, but yesterday's order buys more time until January 2026 to finalize the deal. Now, here's the political angle. Republicans in Congress, guys like Brett Guthrie, Richard Hudson from up in North Carolina. I think Richard and I, we believe we're cousins, by the way. They praise the deal as a positive step, but they're also saying we got to be cautious. They want to make sure that there's no hidden backdoor for China to keep its hands on American user data. They put it simply, protecting Americans from CCP influence is a vital national security interest. It is. But I got to say, I don't know that I totally trust Americans with that data. I mean, we see these other big tech companies. I mean, YouTube, which is just growing like crazy. More and more people are depending on YouTube for news, entertainment. And I'm not so sure that YouTube doesn't get more of our data and know more about us than we really want them to know. Same thing with all social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, whatever. I mean, these companies know a lot about us. Now, on the flip side of this whole debate on whether or not it's still going to be safe, some lawmakers say that they worry about free speech. They ask, can the U.S. government really force a private company out of the marketplace? What precedent does that set? Well, in normal circumstances, I would be in there with them, and I would agree. But TikTok, owned by the Chinese, is a little bit different because China certainly regulates what American companies do in their country. So I don't feel so badly about us maybe regulating what a Chinese company does in our country. TikTok itself has argued for years that it's a global company. It's based in Singapore and controlled by Beijing. They remind us that the app isn't even available in mainland China. Well, but here's the reality. Perception is everything. And the perception was that TikTok was a Trojan horse for communist China. In politics and national security, perception drives policy. Because I don't know of a single person who does not suspect that China is gathering that data so they can eavesdrop on us through TikTok. That's why so many people have been hesitant to even use TikTok. Quite honestly, I had never had a TikTok account until all this came up. And I'm very cautious with what I put on there. But when this whole story started unfolding back last year, I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. I don't spend a whole lot of time on TikTok, but I've been sort of eavesdropping as this whole thing unfolds. And quite frankly, I was surprised at some of the people who have a big presence on TikTok. Conservatives, elected officials who have a huge presence on TikTok. Here's something else that we know as well. This isn't just about TikTok. This is about setting a precedent. The U.S. government is signaling that it will not allow hostile powers to infiltrate our digital ecosystem. The Chinese Communist Party doesn't need spy balloons floating over Montana if it can beam propaganda and harvest data through your teenager's iPhone, or your iPhone for that matter. Now, I know some of you are listening, maybe you're skeptical. You're saying, Joey, does this really fix the problem? Or is it just window dressing? Fair question. After all, ByteDance still owns 20%. But according to what I understand, the key here is that U.S. investors will control the algorithm and the moderation of the content. That's the brain of the platform. That's the power to shape what Americans see and what they don't see. And for the first time, that power will no longer sit in Beijing's shadow, not in some high tower in Beijing. But the bigger lesson is this. Technology is now a battlefield, literally. Forget about the tanks and the planes. The wars of the future are going to be fought on smartphones, on your smartphone. That's where ideas, culture, influence collide. And if America doesn't defend that ground, somebody's going to. Somebody else will. So here's what I want you to hear today and to understand and to think about as we head into the weekend. Are you glad TikTok is staying in America under new ownership? Or would you rather see it shut down altogether? Do you care about TikTok? And I want to get your feedback on this. I want to hear from you over the weekend. Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY. Because make no mistake, this is more than an app. This is about who controls the flow of information in our country. And for once, the balance of power just shifted back to the Stars and Stripes. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Joining me on our guest line, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette from the swamp, I understand, right?
Absolutely. I am calling you from our nation's capital today. And, I got to tell you, Joey, thank you once again to the president. This is the first time I've been here since he's cleaned up the city. And there is a whole different vibe. You don't see homeless all around. You don't see tents propped up places. More people on the streets, walking around. And it's, again, thank you, Mr. President. It's amazing what cleaning up a city and making people feel safe once again can actually do to change the look and the feel of the places we go. So continue to do it, and we're standing behind you 100%.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting that you can do that if you want to do it. And why would a city like Chicago say that they don't want the president's help?
It's called Trump derangement syndrome, Joey.
Yep.
Just, I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were saying, it's such a shame that, there's such a pushback to the president when he's doing these great things. And I said, the sad part is, if President Trump found the cure for cancer today, people either, one, wouldn't take it because he came up with it, or two, would be mad at him for not discovering it, years ago.
Yeah.
He would be the villain in their story no matter what good he does. So we just got to move past it and continue to support him. And it's really pushing the needle, because the people that are most victimized by crime in cities are the ones that are so appreciative you're there.
Yeah.
The protesters you see, as Vice President Vance talked about, are not the same people that live in these neighborhoods that are being overrun with violent crime.
Yep. Can you tell us why you're there, or is it top secret?
No, I can tell you I had a lot of meetings yesterday here in D.C., and then today I'll be taking part in the Republican Legislative Council's Energy Summit. And so, energy has been something I've really focused on. And there is a summit here. We'll be doing some roundtables. I'm going to be bragging about the energy bill we passed in South Carolina and how that will help move us forward into getting VC Summer resurrected, and how turning one of our coal plants into a natural gas plant is going to be a game changer for the PD Horry County area and what they can continue to do. So I'm going to talk about how wonderful South Carolina is, like I always do, and maybe steal a few ideas from my friends around the country. There's a good idea that pops on the table. I'm not bashful. I'll be happy to take that idea and take it back to South Carolina and run with it.
Speaking of energy, we haven't talked about the VC Summer Project lately. Can you give us an update on whether or not we got a good proposal from someone, if that may move forward? We
got a lot of great proposals. They haven't done the award yet. I mean, they're kind of looking through them. There was overwhelming response. But, you know, as they're waiting to kind of award, everybody continues to look at the site and inventory what's going on so that we can get ready to move forward. It is, it's exciting, and everybody talks about if this plan to get it built up, you know, once it starts and once it's producing, I mean, we are going to be in such a great spot, for our citizens, for our businesses, for any future growth, because the jobs of tomorrow, you know, I know data centers get a really bad rap, all these centers, but the future of business, the future of our world is wrapped around technology.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we can say oh no, it uses too much electricity, but those places are going to be where all the jobs are. And, you know, the business world is saying this is where our future is going to take us. So we have to be prepared as a state because we want to keep the best and brightest right here, right?
Yep.
We don't want to be outworked and out innovated by North Carolina or Georgia or anywhere that takes the talent out of South Carolina and moves it, right? We want to make sure that our kids have futures right here in our great state. As a mom, that really warms my heart, thinking that my kids will stay right here where I can see them and someday see my grandkids, Joey. That's my hope.
Exactly. Yeah. With me today, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. All right, we got to talk about this poll that was released this week in the governor's race. You and I talk about a lot of issues, and all. Of course, you're out there continuing to do your duties as lieutenant governor, but also on the campaign trail. This latest poll showing you and Nancy Mace neck and neck. Ms. Mace has 19% to your 18%. Attorney General Alan Wilson was 16%. Congressman Ralph Norman 10%. Senator Josh Kimball 2%. Still 35% undecided. That has to be good news, right?
Well, it really is good news. It just means that, you know, the message I'm sending to people is resonating, and that people want to hear about what you're going to do to help them in their everyday lives. Businesses want to know what you're going to be able to do to help them in their everyday lives. And, you know, what I've been saying to everybody is, listen, the choice is clear. You can pick from a businesswoman and a mother of three and a woman of faith. You can pick from a list of career politicians.
Yeah.
You can pick somebody who has stood with President Trump from day one when I wasn't even in politics. It didn't help me or not, except that I knew he was the man that could turn this country around, and he was a businessman, and he inspired me to do and step away from my business. Or you can pick one of the other candidates who jumped on once it was politically in their best interest to do that.
Yep.
And you can pick somebody like myself who has the resume to do the job. I mean, I've been a CEO on the private sector, ran a very successful company, grew it into a national company. Or you can pick somebody that has not been on the private sector, that doesn't understand what it's like to create jobs, that doesn't understand what it will take to create an executive budget that encompasses $15+ billion, right?
Yeah.
Look at people's resumes, take the personal stuff out of it, look at their resumes and say, okay, who is going to have the vision and the knowledge to move our forward? And that's the message I've been giving people. It's just an honest assessment of who I am, and it seems to be resonating, Joey. I'm going to keep getting out there. I'm unapologetically going to ask every hand I shake for their vote.
Yeah.
And because I think it's important. One of the first people I met when I got to Columbia was a House rep, Bruce Bryant. and he said to me, Lieutenant Governor, everywhere you go, ask people for their vote. Don't assume because they're there listening to you that you have it, because everybody only has one vote, and they want to be asked for it.
Yep. Good advice for sure. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott, be careful in the swamp and make your way back to South Carolina safely. We'll talk again next week.
Thanks, Joey. Great as always to talk to you. Have a wonderful weekend.
That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.